Whoa!
Once upon a tire, there was a monkey thing and a fruity thing, both referred to as very meme-worthy characters by much of the Crash fanbase. One was loved and one was hated, but why? Well, in this video, we'll attempt to figure out the answer to that question and more. So, as you can clearly see, both Rillaroo and Willy Wumpa are notorious for their looks. Rillaroo's fame really kicked off when a group of epic meme lords within the Crash Bandicoot subreddit and other Crash Bandicoot groups began to make an attempt at trolling by continuously asking for Rillaroo to be in Crash Team Racing nitro-fueled. Now, I don't have a source for that because I'm not going to scroll that far back into time to retrieve screenshots for you all, so you'll just have to be good little sheeple and believe me. Rillaroo comes from the game Crash Bash. He's literally just a filler character that doesn't talk, but rather makes monkey noises. He's half kangaroo and half gorilla. Many Crash fans meme it up by referring to Rilla as a god. As time went on, as people kept trolling away and memeing it up, eventually somehow people started unironically claiming to actually unironically like Rillaroo, unironically as an unironic favorite character, even though he didn't actually have a personality and was just a silly monkey. They were trolling for so long that their brains melted, and unfortunately their melted brains did not resemble Wumpa Whip. Speaking of Wumpa Whip, let's now discuss Willy Wumpa and his fans, or his haters, of which exist more prominently for some reason. Willy Wumpa is the main villain in Crash Tag Team Racing. He would occasionally speak through rhymes and riddles. Willy stole Von Clutch's black power gem, which would kill off Von Clutch if the gem is not restored in time. Willy reveals himself to be the thief after being fed up with everybody suspecting that it was Crash, and I guess not getting the attention he felt that he deserves.
Smash like if you think Willy deserves attention.
So, you may be thinking to yourselves, why is Willy Wumpa hated and Rillaroo loved? After all, Willy was more of an actual character, plus he's literally an anthropomorphic Wumpa fruit, which is fitting for the Crash series. Well, how about we let the haters speak for themselves? Alright, so we'll start with this guy who posted this long post on in the Crash Bandicoot fan group on Facebook, and he starts out by saying,
"So some of you may be aware how much I absolutely despise this creature. I'm talking about Willy Wumpa who served as the main antagonist for Crash Tag Team Racing. Well, there are multiple reasons why I simply can't stand him, and here they are. Number one, Willy is the main villain of CTTR. He stole Von Clutch's gems and his black heart power gem. While the idea of Willy being the culprit is fine, what I don't like is how they waited until you finished 4 out of the 5 theme parks to get their first and only lead. There was literally no hints, no clues, absolutely nothing at all that could have pointed to Willy being the culprit. They only had one clue, which was that the culprit had some kind of connection to Wumpa Whip. You know, the exact same drink that Willy makes from his nose, and yet they came to the conclusion that the culprit was Crash of all people. He's the hero. Of course it's not Crash. Willy ended up confessing to the crime, but only because the other characters were such dumbasses. But Willy never gave any reason or motive for his actions against his employer, and instead ran off like a coward. So we have a one-dimensional villain, and we have no idea why he did what he did in the first place. I mean, I like the idea, but the execution was just awful. Number 2, Willy and his god-awful rhymes and riddles. Not only were they just corny, but they were also bizarre and creepy. His riddles creeped out Stu and Cortex, and I don't blame them. They creeped me out too. Number 3, Willy just has a repulsive appearance. He's a mutated Wumpa fruit that has noodle arms and legs. He wears pointy shoes, and he has a long, droopy blue nose that produces Wumpa Whip. This appearance, along with his rhymes and riddles, makes him just disgusting looking and creepy sounding. We don't even know how Willy even came to be, because we have no idea who created him. It can't be Cortex, because he's never met Willy before. Plus, Cortex is creeped out by him. I highly doubt Von Clutch is smart enough to know how to mutate a Wumpa fruit, and Brio, while he does seem likely, he took part in inventing the Evolvo Ray, but he wasn't even in the game. This makes Willy's origin a complete mystery. Number 4, despite Willy being the main antagonist of the game, we didn't even have a boss race against him, or even a boss fight for that matter. You simply spin a lever, and it jumps to a cutscene where the heroes corner him only to be liquidated by a shot from Cortex.
I may hate the fruity bastard.
Whoa, hey.
It's 2019, man. We're going into 2020. You can't say that.
But shit, did they really have to make him a complete joke of a villain? Number 5, this fruity bastard gave me nightmares as a kid. His creepy and bizarre rhymes, his repulsive appearance, his awkward dancing-like movements, and his creepy whiny voice all made him seem so freaking scary to me as a kid. Fuck Freddy Krueger, fuck Pennywise, fuck Cortex. Those guys ain't got shit on this creepy fucker. This fruity bitch was my worst nightmare. So now y'all know why I can't stand Willy Wumpa He had potential to be a good villain, but he was ruined. Everything about him, his appearance, his voice, his movements, his rhymes, and a complete lack of an origin or story for him makes him, in my opinion, the worst Crash Bandicoot character ever made. I hope and pray he's not included in Crash Team Racing Nitro-fueled, because the last thing I need is Willy back with all the grotesqueness and creepiness back on the screen in HD. Please leave him be. I do not want to have to relive my childhood nightmares. Phew! It felt good to get that out.
Okay, now that was a lot. Obviously, this guy is really dedicated. And this is not his only post either. There's a few other ones. I could only find another one after this, but I have seen him post a few times about this, I think, or maybe in comments or something. But basically what I would say is Crash Tag Team Racing was a very humorous, wacky game. I don't think it was really meant to make sense much. pretty obvious to me that it was meant to be pretty wacky and silly. You know, I don't know why you want overly serious stories in a wacky, cartoony game about a fucking anthropomorphic Bandicoot spinning small animals away and shit, but okay. And also, I don't consider any of this to be a good reason for wanting this character to be left out of the series and not let anybody enjoy this character's presence, because, I mean, there are many Willie Wumpa Cheeks fans, which we'll get at. We'll show some cool fan art by people in the fan base. There's that, and then, here's another post here.
Me, when I see Willie Wumpa Cheeks isn't part of the Neon Circus Grand Prix, can I get a hallelujah?
So he's very vocal and obsessive about his hatred for Willie Wumpa Cheeks, as you can see. So now we'll move on to some posts from Reddit, I suppose. I didn't take a screenshot of the original post, silly me, but these are some comments underneath the post of somebody saying, you know, I hope he makes it into the game, and then somebody posted under here, hope not, and then another person says, please don't. And there's a lot of this. I didn't get like 50 million screenshots, but there's a lot of this that occurs. Here's a post by Draft Draw, and he's asking what's up with people straight up not wanting Willie Wumpa Cheeks in Crash Team Racing Nitro-fueled. He says,
seriously, the hate this character gets across the subreddit, at least, is crazy. Though it's mellowed down a bit after he was data-mined, you still find it, and people try to give the most silly reasons for him not to be playable. Hell, some people even completely ignore the fact he was data-mined. Some of the reasons I find here and why they make no sense. Number 1, he was never playable in Crash Tag Team Racing. Crunk, Nash, Small Norm, Big Norm, and Curie were never playable in Crash Nitro Kart either, except for the mobile Game Boy Advanced version, which isn't the Crash Nitro Kart. Crash Team Racing Nitro-fueled takes all the Crash Nitro Kart inspiration from. Amy, Liz, Isabella, and Megumi were never even playable before and had less of a role in the CTR story than Willie, and yet they were made playable, and now they have a lot more fans because they got a chance to shine. It seems Beanox is intending on making every character in a racing game, period, in any shape or form, be playable in Crash Team Racing Nitro-fueled, so it really makes sense. Besides, people were still saying it was a good idea for Chicken Stew to be playable, which is a good idea.
And they're now in the game, by the way.
And much like Willie, they weren't playable in Crash Tag Team Racing, which just shows its bias towards this character. But making all the Crash Tag Team Racing characters playable, like how Beanox made all the Crash Nitro Kart characters playable, is a great idea. Number 2, he's a terrible character. Subjective, but even then, Zem is already in the game, and he's much worse than Willie. Not that Zem is a terrible character as I enjoy him, but he's also a very one-note character. It's also kind of weird seeing this come from people loving Unrillaroo as if he's the greatest character ever, or if he's better than Willie as a character, despite both being seen as mean characters. Besides, how is a character supposed to become better if you don't give them a chance to be written better?
I agree with that.
Plus, as far as characters are concerned, I think he's a pretty unique concept to the roster, much like Intrans. Both are sentient food, unlike most characters who are either sentient animals, scientists, cyborgs, small animals, and aliens. At the risk of being downvoted, I just find there's a lot of gatekeeping towards some Naughty Dog / PS1 characters who are significantly worse than the PS2 characters, with literally zero characterization.
And yeah, I need to get to that on a video, because there was a lot of Crazies that I could have covered, but haven't got around to it yet since this is the first episode. And look at how many likes on this post, and this was like, I guess, a few months ago or something. 1 like. So he was obviously very much downvoted.
But are held in a pedestal just because they came from better games or games the first fans of the series grew up with. Beanox has shown they really don't care for a character's popularity or whatever as long as they're in a racing game. Otherwise, they would have literally excluded the entire CNK roster except for Crunch and maybe Intrans from the roster. And other than them, Nina would be the only other post-Naughty Dog addition. Number 3, he's too big for a cart. I even heard this before. If size is a problem, Beanox will just scale him down for races, much like how Intrans, who was Willie's size at Intrans and Crash Nitro Kart, was made smaller. Or Nasty North, who is gigantic canonically. This logic also applies to Madame Amberly when people say she's too big, despite her being just a little bigger than Bingo Dial and Tiny in Twinsanity. Number 4, we don't need him. Again, subjective, but I'll argue that he is needed purely out of my OCD. If indeed we're getting Pasadena and the best Crash character ever, Von Clutch, then not having Willie and Chicken Stew, but especially Willie as the main antagonist of Crash Tag Team Racing, would feel wrong, and the feel of everyone from a racing game ever is here would be gone. At least Chicken Stew are still on CTR TV, so they're still present somehow. Hell, Beanox even added Wumpa Whip ads at Tiny Arena and Parking Lot, which comes from Willie, so they're not forgetting about him completely. I mean, seriously, Canadian Guy A uploaded a video saying Willie, Chick, and Stew were unneeded, and that Beanox should add a Warthog from Crash 1 and a lab assistant for them.
Yes, as much as I like content that comes from Canadian Guy A, that was ridiculous of Canadian Guy A. Yeah, it's ridiculous when anybody says that.
While these would be fun characters to play as, they're not even really characters, just enemies in the games, and thus shouldn't take the spot of any characters who are more deserving of a chance. All in all, I don't think most of the criticisms towards the character are...
I agree, they are definitely not.
but I would like to hear opposing opinions or if someone even agrees with me.
M28A tends to often refer to Willie as Willie Ass Cheeks. M28A says,
You already said that. Want is something you can't change it. And yes, he is the ugliest character I've ever seen. At least Zem and Zam was playable in a racing game while this thing is ew.
and then Draft Draw replies,
Dude, Zem is uglier than Willie. Him being playable in Crash Nitro Kart doesn't suddenly make him prettier. Though Willie is indeed one of the ugliest Crash characters alongside Zem, Engine, and Baby Coco.
M28A says,
And he is hated for a reason. At least Rillaroo has good potential and has funny noises, but Willie Ass Cheeks is pure trash.
by now you can see just how, ridiculous this guy is. Draft Draw says,
What are the reasons? This is your opinion, much like how people would constantly say the same thing about Rillaroo, and some people still say this about Rilla, which I disagree with as well. How does funny noises make up for a better character? Willie has at least characterization of a creepy and rhyming, ugly, and deceptive mascot. Rillaroo has nothing going on for his character other than makes monkey noises. Obviously, if you disregard every bit of Willie's characterization, you will say he has nothing going on for him.
and then M28A replies saying,
Everything you said about Willie here made him bad, apart from being ugly. And about the funny noises, he has potential to have good personality that might make people like him.
well, he still doesn't have personality. He's in the game now, and don't you think that Willie has potential to grow or change as a character? I mean, these people are fucking retarded. What a bunch of morons. Oh my god.
And I say it again, not want is what people feel about Ass Cheeks in his design. And you can't just throw a wall of text to make people want it.
Draft Draw replies,
Having an unpleasant personality is, from a writing standpoint, still better than having a character with no personality.
I agree.
Plus, I don't see how rhyming made him bad.
I agree.
And again, Beanox doesn't care about a character's personality when they added Zem, whose personality is literally just he likes burping and food, and now he likes punk rock. That was a cool new addition. Now, I ask you how making stock monkey noises makes Rillaroo better than Willie Wumpa Cheeks. And every character has potential if done well, even characters people dislike like Zem, Willie, or the Viscount. Zem had a minor personality update and also a major design improvement, so he got better in the eyes of many. Willie could undergo the same thing, like making him appear more as a Wumpa fruit for one, and obviously Rillaroo to be given a personality. Hopefully, Beanox doesn't listen to people who literally want him to continue being a voiceless character making monkey sounds.
Well, Rillaroo is still a voiceless character making monkey sounds. But anyways, as you can see, the dude literally stopped replying to Draft Draw because he has no argument other than,
Willie Ass Cheeks.
what a genius. And then so Alfard428 says,
I don't claim that it's a good reason, but here's mine. I fucking hate his design.
Vala Maxima says,
What if people just plain dislike it?
Draft Draw replies,
I understand disliking a character, but not wanting a character in the game because you dislike him/her, and making up reasons to cover you just disliking a character being included is what I don't understand. I'm not the greatest fan of Krunker Koala Kong. Does that mean I don't want them in the game when they have fans? Obviously not, because that would be petty and egotistical and also childish.
I agree. And Put That Cat Down says,
Because he's unappealing, both in terms of design and characterization. Why is that so difficult for you to grasp? I'd take a blank slate like Rilla over someone that's actively obnoxious.
I'm guessing all these types of people want the Crash series to be like this overly serious, furry fanfic type of thing. Whereas some people just want to laugh and have fun. They want wacky characters. They want humor in the games. They want the series to be comedic and funny and have wacky characters. And then there's these other group of Crash fans that kind of are just like, no, it has to be a very serious story. Draft Draw says,
I don't need to exclude one to want another too. I want both to come in. And it doesn't matter if a character is unappealing. Zem is in the game and he isn't appealing at all, both design-wise or personality-wise. And arguably other characters too fit this bill. And still, that doesn't change the fact that Rillaroo literally isn't a better character than Willie. Because as of now, Rilla doesn't have any character.
and he still has no character, so that means Willie is still the better character. And here's some artwork by Martina313. They did some artwork of Viscount from Crash Boom Bang and Willie Wumpa Cheeks. And Lord of Banking replied to that post saying,
Someone drew the short straw.
Martina313 replied to that person saying,
Actually, I chose to draw these two because they're some of my favorite minor characters. Nice try making me feel bad for drawing them, though. It won't happen.
back in the day, there was a lot of Crash Bandicoot elitists. You could not say that you like any Crash Tag Team Racing characters or whatever, and or you gonna get the hammer. And so let's move on to some cool Willie Wumpa Cheeks fans. Here's some artwork by Pinstripe Suit, doing a take on a modern Willie, a Willie that actually resembles more of a Wumpa fruit. And it looks pretty cool, I like it. Here's a post by Spaceman0311. I don't know if he made this or not, but I have seen this elsewhere before I ever seen it on Reddit. And he says,
Please, Beanox, when you add the Crash Tag Team Racing characters, don't leave out our boy Willie Wumpa Cheeks. All jokes aside, Willie was the main villain in Crash Tag Team Racing. It wouldn't feel right if they added Nina Von Fleisch and Pasadena without Willie.
and I agree. Well, that's all I have today. That's all I have screenshotted. If I look through and I find some more, because there is a whole lot more. Witnessing it back then, it was just crazy. When Crash Team Racing nitro-fueled was just announced and everybody was talking about it, there was this one dude saying that if there was any post-Naughty Dog character appearing in the game, he would be out. He would just not buy the game or whatever. And there was a lot of people like that. You'd be surprised. A bunch of like weird Crash Crazies trying to gatekeep those characters out of the game, and they still kind of do it now, but not as much really, because I guess people have seemed to accept that BeanStalks are adding a lot of obscure characters and everything. And yeah, Crash Team Racing nitro-fueled is looking like a fucking celebration of the Crash series. I love this shit, man. Yeah, I get to play as fucking Pasadena and Von Clutch. I remember arguing with people back in the day about whether or not they should be in, because so many people are like, no, don't fucking add them. I hate them. I fucking despise those characters. That's why they should not be in. They should not return to the series.
Shut the fuck up, I'll snap your fucking neck.
Like, oh man, so crazy shit. So with all of this, so as you can see, this confirms Willie to be the true Crash Bandicoot god. Willie has the power to make people go fucking insane. What power does Rilla have? Making people shit their pants from how ugly he is? At least Willie over here looking like a snack. Ooh. Okay, so this has been episode 1, or part 1, or whatever you want to call it, of Crash Crazies. Tune in next time and we'll look at some even crazier people. So hopefully you enjoyed this. This might have been a little long, I don't know. Try to cut it down a little bit.
There's some loads. Yeehaw. Have a TNT. Yeehaw. There's some loads. Yeehaw. Have a TNT. Yeehaw. There's some loads. Yeehaw. Have a TNT. Yeehaw. There's some loads. Yeehaw. Have a TNT. What an asshole.
Put down the bottle. Don't drink and drive.